the Quran alone, why do you disobey him and go to something else?
I see.
You see in the Quran it's telling you أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول. So why don't you listen and obey Allah and the Rasul?
Okay, by obeying the messenger of God and obeying, because I know that the messenger of God, he is being taught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was orphan and he is taught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he was perfect.
Okay.
He was perfect.
This reason for you to disobey him?
No, to obey him.
You're not obeying him. When you go to other than the Quran,
to obey him,
but you're not disobeying him
and his way of life. Way of life.
But if you follow anything other than the Quran, you are disobeying the Prophet.
I see. Okay.
So therefore, you must be there. If you are reciting these verses, you have to do them yourselves. أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول. If you obey Rasul, you'll uphold the Quran. The whole Quran, nothing but the Quran. If you go to anything other than the Quran, you are not obeying the messenger.
So you believe in the Quran from the cover to the cover. You believe in this Quran, and our speaking to each other now, we will speak according to the Quran.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. You said, I think, one of your brochures here, if you allow me to read it to you, or just to say it here, you said, providing indisputable evidence for the exposure and removal of two human-made sentences that were injected into the Quran at the end of the last surah, revealed in Medina, surah number 9. In other words, you say here that the human being injected some surahs in the Quran.
Verses, yes.
Some verses in the Quran.
Yes.
So this Quran, the one in my hand here in Arabic, the one in my hand in Arabic, it's not completely perfect. It's been injected by man-made surahs. You believe in that?
Right.
Okay. And also
this Quran is not correct.
It's not correct.
But we know the correct Quran. I can show you a Quran that is correct and complete.
You will show me in a minute, but let me continue this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took an oath on him to guard the Quran.
He did.
Because mankind couldn't guard the Torah or the Bible.
That's right.
So Allah took an oath on him to guard the Quran.
Yes.
In your translation, you said, we have sent down for this verse.
Yeah. We
have sent down the revelation, and we will surely preserve it.
Yes.
In Yusuf Ali translation, what he says, we have without doubt set down. Excuse me, let me. In Yusuf Ali translation, which most of the Muslim people they are taking by Yusuf Ali translation the Quran, we have without doubt sent down the message, and we will assuredly guard it from corruption.
I agree with that.
You agree about that?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like you to elaborate on this point, Dr. Khalifa.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala carried out his promise and he preserved the Quran perfectly. I can show you a Quran that is perfect in the way it was sent down, and the way it was written.
I would like to see it now.
Right. Okay. And the way every letter of it is preserved. Not a single letter is added, and not a single letter is lost.
Yes.
However, if you go to Egypt or Iran today, you're going to see that the Quran is printed with some mistakes in them.
Okay.
But this does not negate the fact.
Let's be clear now. Let's be clear before you go.
The fact.
Let's be clear before you go.
Yes.
This Quran, it's been in the whole world, through Iran, through Persia, through Arabic world. This Arabic Quran, it's not real Quran.
There's some mistakes in it.
It has mistakes in it.
Right.
And you have the one.
But the point is that God did preserve the perfect Quran, and we have it.
You have it.
It's all over the world.
What's with whom? With you? Let's say
it's even here. You can find it here also, as long as you mark the mistakes. There are few mistakes.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun." It means
so how do you explain,
we will never allow anybody to inject even one single.
How do you explain the fact that in Iran today are printing millions of Qurans that do not follow the Quranic writing? They like for example, the word Salah is written Sad Lam Alif He instead of Sad Lam Waw He as in the original Quran. How do you explain that? I mean, God failed to carry out his promise? Is this what you think?
No, I'm not thinking of anything. I would like
Okay,
to...
I'm saying that it doesn't matter what people do with the Quran. They can take it and mess it up and do anything they want. This is what they want to do. This is only ink and paper. But the Quran that God sent down is preserved exactly in the way that it was written, and without adding or losing a single letter. So this promise of God, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ حَافِظُونَ, is kept. However, I must point out something to you. When there is a law like the law of preservation of the Quran, this law does not exist unless it is violated. Do you understand what this means?
Yes, I'm following you.
Okay. For example, if there is a law that Abdurrahman Salim cannot leave this room, if you stay in this room forever, nobody will ever know that this law exists. Is this true?
As far as I understand.
Okay, now, but if you violate this law and try to leave the room, and then you are forced back in, then we know that the law exists. Therefore, the violation of the sacredness of the Quran proves that God preserved it, because we detected the mistakes. We know exactly where any letters were added or removed, and we have the perfect Quran.
You have
because
the perfect
God fulfilled His promise.
Yes. Do you think you can?
And the perfect Quran is contained in here. It is included in here. But people added some of their errors in here. However, it doesn't make any difference, because the perfect Quran is in existence.
If I am an ordinary Muslim walking in the street and I picked up this Quran, for the witness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how do I know this is right and this is wrong and this is injected?
You are either a sincere Muslim or you're an insincere Muslim. Yes. Is this correct? Mm-hmm. Now, God knows that, right?
Yes.
Now, when God knows that you are a sincere Muslim, He will see to it that you'll be guided to the correct Quran, to the perfect Quran. Okay. If you're not a sincere Muslim, you will be left to, you will have a fake Quran. A fake Muslim has a fake Quran, a true Muslim has a true Quran. This is a rule of thumb.
Okay.
A sincere believer has a perfect Quran.
Okay.
An insincere person does not have a perfect Quran.
Okay. You said also in your writing, in your paper brochures, you said the Old Testimony and the New Testimony, and also the final testimony referring to the Quran, which I believe, as far as I know, also I hope you will correct me if I'm mistaken, Muslims, they don't like to use or to apply this word, this old and new and final, to the word of God. We know that this word is been used by Jewish and Christian, not by the Muslim. The Muslim, he knows that the word of God from Adam to Muhammad, it's the word of God, never been old, never been used, never been, it's word of God. When we say the word of God, it's the word of God. But
you don't like using Old Testament, New Testament?
No, I'm just asking, wondering.
No, I like to use it, but if you don't like to use it, go ahead and don't use it.
So that's the only answer you have, right?
Right.
Okay. You said also Muhammadans, the worst enemies of God. Yes. Beware of Muhammadans, the worst enemies of God. Mm-hmm. According to the Quran, did the Quran say that?
Yes.
That the Quran said the one who follows Muhammad will be my worst enemy?
The one who worships Muhammad.
The way we worship. You know the Muslim that you never worship Muhammad.
You indicated at the beginning of this interview that you worship Muhammad.
How?
You said La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. You talked as if Muhammad is alive.
I admit it.
Wait. You put Muhammad's name next to Allah's name. This is shirk. By definition, this is shirk.
According to Surah
you made a statement that Muhammad is a messenger of God. When he's dead, he's not alive. Only God is alive. This is why God says, توكل على الحي الذي لا يموت. Put your trust in the living one who never dies. Because Muhammad is dead. And when you put his name, when you put Muhammad's name, a human creature of God, next to God, the name of God, this is worshipping without knowing it. So you're worshiping Muhammad without knowing it, because you do not follow the Quran that came out of Muhammad's mouth because of your reverence for Muhammad, which is another word for it is idol worship. The Quran tells you, لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله, do not make any distinction among the prophets or the messengers of God. وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا, in other words, you do not argue, you say we hear and we obey, we do not make any distinction. But you defy this and you make a distinction. And all this because you love Muhammad too much. Now loving Muhammad too much It's like the Christians loving Jesus too much and worshiping him.